Hello everyone, how's it going? So I'm actually doing something different today. It's not a vlog style video, but it is a video that I think would be a lot of fun. The reason I thought about it was because, as most of you guys know, my cousin Sam, is this crooked? There we go. Nope, yep, that's even more worse. Okay. All right, there we go. Okay, so as you guys know, my cousin Sam just recently moved here from the States, and there's a couple things that he brought up as questions, or just things that I never really thought about, and I was like, oh yeah, there is a difference there. And then I started paying attention to some of the differences from like an American standpoint coming to Japan, and I was like, you know what, that might actually make a good video. Normally I don't do these kind of like Japan versus America videos, but I figured I'd give a crack at it, so here we go. I'm going to give you my top 5 things that either we don't have in Japan or don't do in Japan. So the first thing that Sam was talking about was big gulps. Our convenience stores, we do have convenience stores. You guys have seen some of them in my videos, Family Mart, Lawson, 7-Eleven. But unlike the American ones, we do not have a gallon-sized drink. I know they're not a gallon, but they might as well be. I mean, we might as well just start handing out buckets of Mountain Dew for $1.50 really in the States, because it's crazy. But we don't have big gulps here. I think I was looking online, and I think the biggest size is like 20 ounces, and that's in Starbucks, and that's their largest size. They said a small size drink here, like if you go to McDonald's or something, a small size drink here is comparable to a kid's drink size in America. So like you're not gonna get a huge drink here. Like you're not going to walk into a convenience store or a fast food chain and get a huge drink. That's just not going to happen. All of our drinks are on the smaller side. Another thing, actually, I just thought about it as I was talking about this. I guess I'll attach this. So it's technically 6 things, but it kind of goes in line with the big gulp. Is unlike America, Japan also doesn't do free refills. So once you buy a cup and you finish it, there's no free refills. You can't take it up to the counter and get like another free refill. You actually do, if you want another drink, you actually have to go up to the counter and pay for another beverage. The only time I ever seen free refills in Japan is like if you go to a buffet or a restaurant that has like a drink bar and you pay extra for the drink bar, then you can go up and get your drinks. But otherwise, they don't do free refills, whether you're in a restaurant or in fast food areas. There's just no free refills. I never really knew about free refills until I moved to the States. I thought that was such a crazy concept to me. I was like, wow, you get a cup and you could just keep refilling it for free. I mean, I think that's awesome. But yeah, they don't do that here in Japan. Also, drinks I think tend to be a little bit more on the pricey side. Like I think a large drink, last time I went to McDonald's, I think I checked, but I think a large drink was like 250 yen, which is about $2.50, like around $2, less than, well, a little over $2, but less than 3. So they are on the more expensive side, and you can't do free refills, and they're smaller cups. So I think it's nice to be able to get free refills, but I think just the ability to have unlimited soda can also be a health risk as well. I think, like I remember my dad, or like especially when I go visit Idaho, my family would stop by this gas station called Mavericks, and they would get these like big gulp cups, and throughout the day they would just keep refilling it with Pepsi or some other sodas. And I was like, man, that's so unhealthy. And they're like bucket size. I mean, you might as well be drinking out of a 5-gallon Home Depot bucket, I don't know. But yeah, big gulps aren't a thing and refills aren't a thing. So that's one. Well, there's 2, but we're just combining them into one. The next thing that Sam mentioned that I didn't even think of, because it was like right before a typhoon, and he lives right across from a gas station. And he was like, oh yeah, so if I was just thinking if the power goes out, I'll just walk over to the gas station and buy ice. I realized that in America, convenience stores are connected to gas stations. But in Japan, they're completely separate. Like you cannot go to a gas station to buy drinks or little tiny snacks or food or ice, because they are not convenience stores. They are strictly car service places. You get your gas there, you wash your car there, you service your car there. Like that's that's what it's for. If you want to go to a convenience store, you have to go to like Family Mart, Lawson's, and 7-Eleven. I didn't even like think about that. But then he said that whole ice thing, and I was like, oh, that's right, because 7-Elevens are usually attached to gas stations, and like, you know, they're a combination of the two. But in Japan, gas stations and convenience stores are separate. So you can't go to a gas station to buy snacks or drinks or any sort of thing that you could at an American gas station. Number 3, there's no tipping, which is fantastic, because then you don't feel obligated to like leave money at the end. You know, like when you're looking at a menu and you go to a restaurant, what the price is on the menu is how much you're paying when you leave. I mean, I'm sure there's I know there's taxes, but like aside from that, what you see on the menu is what you're paying. You don't have to calculate tip. In fact, in Japan, if you tried to tip the waiters, it's actually considered rude, because you're essentially telling them that they don't make enough and that you're trying to give them more money, and just kind of basically, you know, offending them in the sense that you're telling them that, oh, here's more money because you don't make enough money or something like that. Japanese waiters and waitresses get paid an hourly wage. Minimum here is, I think, $7 or $8 an hour. So, you know, they make a regular part-time wage. You will see more tipping jars and tipping is more of a concept, not like in normal restaurants, but like if you go to places where Americans go to more, like bars and stuff, like American run bars and all that kind of stuff, especially like in the American Village area, you'll sometimes see tip jars and stuff, just because, you know, the Americans come in, and Japanese people know that Americans tip. So in a place where there's a high concentration of Americans, you will every once in a while see a tip jar, but by no means is it an obligation to tip. They don't expect tips here. Like I said, those places will accept tips just because they're used to having Americans, but most places, most restaurants, if you try to tip them, it's actually considered offensive. So no tipping in Japan. Number 4. This is actually something that Chris brought up the other day, and I thought that was really fascinating, is you're actually allowed to public drink in Japan. At least in California. I don't know if that's the case in the rest of the United States, but at least in California, you cannot step out of an establishment with an alcoholic beverage in your hand. Like, you have to drink at either a restaurant and in your home. Like, you can't be out in public with a drink, like an alcohol drink in hand. But in Japan, you're allowed to do that. Like when I was a teenager and stuff, and I would, you know, buy alcohol and drink with my friends, we would buy a couple chuhais and just go to the local park and just drink. And it was a normal thing. I don't know how common it is nowadays, but I know like every so often on lunch breaks and stuff, I'll see construction workers with an Orion beer in their hand as they're eating lunch during their lunch break and stuff. So like, public drinking is a normal thing. You're allowed to walk around with an alcoholic beverage, even to an extent that, I mean, obviously for the driver, Japan has very strict alcohol limitation laws. Like, I think drivers in Japan cannot have 0.03% of alcohol in their system when they're behind the wheel. If you get caught, you actually get your license taken away for, I think, like 10 years, and then most of the time it could actually land you in jail as well. So they are very, very strict about drinking and driving, which wasn't always the case. There was a time and place, especially back in the 70s and stuff, or 80s, where people would get into car accidents and they would get off scot-free because, you know, it wasn't their doing. They were under the influence of alcohol. But now Japan is extremely strict. You drive with almost like, if you even have Listerine in your system, I almost feel like that they're gonna flag you for that. So drinking and driving, definitely big no-nos. Japan has a system set up. Like, they don't have Ubers, but they do have taxis, which are very accessible. They're always around, as well as they have taxis for your car. Basically, it's a service where there's two people who just, like, one drives your car home with you in it, and the other person follows in another car, and that's basically like a taxi for your car. Never drink and drive in Japan. Very, very, very strict. But the passengers and people who are riding with you are allowed to have alcoholic beverages, open alcoholic beverages, and drink in your car. But you cannot be drinking at all. So I thought that was very different, is that you can actually public drink, like street drink in the car, as long as you're not the driver. That is totally legal in Japan. So the last thing is that you always pay at the counter when you go out to eat. So in America, when you go to a restaurant and stuff, the waiter will bring your check, and then you give them the card or cash, and then they take it, and then they do all that, and then they bring the receipt back to you, or your change. But in Japan, no matter the restaurant, you will always be paying at the counter. So at the very end, you will take your own check and you will walk yourself to the counter, and then you will pay. So if you're just sitting there waiting for somebody to take your money and card, they're not going to do that. And even if you try to give them your card and cash, they won't take it. You're going to have to walk your own check to the counter and pay at the counter. I don't think I've ever been in a restaurant here, unless it was on the military base, where that they ever like took my card or cash from my table. I think that was a very strange concept for me too, because I was like, I just walk up to the counter. But that's not the case here. I think there's little major differences, especially like restaurant wise. I think, in the States, servers and stuff will come up to your table every once in a while to make sure you're doing okay, make sure your drinks are refilled, but they don't do that in Japan. Once you order, your waiter will probably never come back to your table unless you call them. And a lot of people will probably see that as rude, but in Japan, it's actually a different kind of mentality. In Japan, people don't like getting bothered constantly. It's more of a, they're trying to have a conversation and enjoy their meal, and then constantly having somebody come over and kind of interrupt your conversation or interrupt your meal is actually looked upon as rude. So servers and waiters, unless they are called to the table or welcomed back to the table, will not come to your table to just automatically refill your drinks. It's just like a different way of thinking. Like, I know in America there, I remember when I'd go to the restaurant and then people would be like, oh, that service staff was terrible, they never refilled my water, blah blah blah, which I was kind of used to until I realized, like, when I became a server and a waiter, like, you're supposed to do that. I didn't even know that was the thing. But yeah, in Japan you don't. People would probably find that more rude and more kind of like obtrusive if people kept constantly coming to the table to, like, ask you if you're doing okay, if the meal's okay, if the drinks are okay, like, do you need more? Like, they're not going to do that. They're just going to leave you alone once they take your order. Yeah, some of the differences that I found. If you guys enjoyed these differences, let me know in the comment section below. That is my 5, 6, 7, I don't know, I gave you guys a bunch of things, but hopefully that'll help you, especially because I know some of you guys are new to the island or new to Japan, and you guys are going to get ready to start exploring, and some of these things might be very different for you. So hopefully this video helps a little. But thank you guys again so much for watching. I love you guys so much. Peace. I will see you in tomorrow's video. Bye.